Go ahead, punch this one up because we went round and round and round about how to deal with this. Let's talk about topics on the table. There have been so many stories that we have talked about over the course of doing this podcast that we want you to think about some of the stories of the year. And we had a tough time check marking off a whole bunch of these different stories. I decided the 10th best story of the year was Colorado's record-setting Deion Sanders clone, Travis Hunter, Heisman Trophy winner. What he accomplished at CU as an elite wide receiver, and then what he also accomplished as a defensive back, and the fact that he played 1,035 snaps this season. Travis Hunter, 10th best story in sports. 9th best story in sports, the death of Johnny Hockey and his brother. Talking about Johnny Gaudreau, former Calgary Flames star, who was with the Columbus Blue Jackets, 40-goal scorer. He and his brother killed by a drunk driver while they were cycling, doing off-season training. 9th story of the year. 8th story, all things Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he won everything on the PGA Tour, Player of the Year, the FedEx Championships, 9 victories, including Grand Slams. He's become quite a personality. Scotty Scheffler, 8th best story in sports. 7th, the passing of Fernando Tatis. The passing of Fernando Valenzuela and the passing of Ricky himself, Ricky Henderson. 2 guys who left us way too early, but boy, what an imprint on sports that Fernando Valenzuela, Ricky Henderson made. 6th story, there is no more Pac-12. The death of the Pac-12 conference, huge story. Nobody's forgiven SC and UCLA what happened. 5th story, all things Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs, 2 Super Bowl wins, trying to make it 3 in a row. That's pretty impressive. 4th biggest story in sports, the decision to step aside. Bill Belichick leaves New England. Nick Saban, which to me is more of a shocker, leaving Alabama and, in essence, college football. 3rd biggest story, all things Dodger baseball. It could be World Series. It could be Dave Roberts becoming the all-time winningest manager in baseball history, 682 percentage. Wow. It could be Ohtani's contract. It could be Ohtani on the field. All things Dodger baseball. 2nd biggest story, the passing of the hit king, Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose. And I really felt the top story, because they're still talking about it, the arrival of Caitlin Clark and what she meant to Iowa basketball, women's basketball, the emergence of the WNBA star, the impact on WNBA, the reaction from the players, the TV ratings, the attendance figures. Caitlin Clark, #1 story in the world of sports. John, I know you spilled a cup of coffee over some of these, but go ahead, agree or disagree. Anybody we missed?
Well, Caitlin Clark at the top of the list is a surprise, and I would definitely have her in the top 3. But now I look at your list, I'm thinking, well, who would be above them? I'm not sure. Maybe the Dodgers Ohtani story. I think you have Pete Rose too high. I mean, it's a big story, but to me, the passing of Fernando and Ricky Henderson was a more impactful thing for me than the passing of Pete Rose. And I think the Chiefs and the ability to go here for a three-peat is unbelievable. So great stories here. It's fun to see Johnny Hockey and Scotty Scheffler on that list as well.
I really struggle because the more I thought about it, the more I researched, there's so many other stories out there that maybe I should have paid attention to. You know, I really thought about Simone Biles, including her in the top 10, because she came back from enormous mental health issues, left global competition as a gymnast, and then turned back and came back and got an Olympic gold in gymnastics. I was going to include her. I thought about O.J. Simpson, but he was such a bad citizen and such negative vibes about him. I tend to think maybe people were glad to be rid of all things the juice, so I didn't include him in the top 10 either. But you agree, you disagree, feel free to jump in on the Fans Forum chat box right now. Give us your thoughts on top sports story of the world, top sports person in the world.